Wow! Fielding in front of the hill at the SCG. Now that is, that is a great feeling. But I'll tell you what feels really good. Having a Tooheys draft, a cold one, straight after the game.
Tooheys draft. Real taste, real beer.
That feels good.
A long pass over this time, taken by Wilson. He takes it back inside once again to Danny Staines, back to Spina, then out to David Hatch. Hatch gives it back to Wilson. Wilson's gone over it. That is the Grace Brothers try of the round, baby.
Oh, what a magnificent rugby league try by the Cronulla Sharks. Absolutely a butler. The best try we've seen all year. That's the Grace Brothers try, and the smiles on the face of the Cronulla Sharks.
All right, footy fanatics, time to head out to Penrith Park for the nail-biter between Manly and Penrith. League 90 is brought to you uninterrupted by LJ Hooker, Auto Village Holden, Liquor Stop and Tooheys. Here's Hollywood and that old sea eagle himself, Zorba.
A very good afternoon. Welcome to Penrith Park. Should be a beauty this afternoon between Penrith and Manly. Penrith at home to Manly Warringah. Here's Hollywood with the Penrith Panthers, coached, of course, by Gus Gould.
Yes, Philip Gould, the coach, and one of the young masters of the game. Greg Alexander's the fullback, Alan McIndoe and Paul Smith are the two wingers. Brad Izzard and Colin Bentley, the centre combination. Chris Mortimer, the 5'8". Steve Carter is the halfback. Brooke Kennedy is the lock forward. Johnny Cartwright and Mark Geyer are the two second rowers. Peter Kelly and Peter Tunks are the two props. Royce Simmons, the hooker and captain.
Okay, the Manly Sea Eagles today, coached and managed by Graham Lowe. The fullback is Frank Stokes. The wingers are Sean Townsend and Tony Iro. In the centres, Des Hasler and Michael O'Connor, who's captain of the Manly Sea Eagles. Cliffy Lyons, Nappers, the 5'8". The halfback is Jeff Tuvey. Glowhead, Glenn Ryan is the lock forward. Matt Dunford and John Jones in the second row. The mule, David Hosking, back at Manly in the front row. Martin Bella is the other front rower. And Danny Russell from Redcliffe in Brisbane is the hooker this afternoon. Eddie Ward is the referee. Reserve grade to Penrith by 18-6. President's Cup by Penrith, 32 points to 6. And they are after the trifecta at home this afternoon. Let's check full-time around the grounds. Tony Peters at Caltex.
Honours even here at Cronulla. The reserve grade Cronulla beat St George by 32 points to 24, and St George won the President's Cup over Cronulla by 26 points to 6.
Tim Prentice at Parramatta Stadium.
2 out of 2 for the Parramatta Eels. They've beaten North Sydney 32-17 in reserves. They won under 21s 30 points to 18.
Phil Tressiter at Leichhardt.
Reserve grade Brisbane have beaten Balmain here 28 points to 6.
Ross Allen in Newcastle.
Newcastle shooting for a trifecta. They won the reserve grade 32 points to 10 against Wests, and they won the President's Cup 24 points to 12.
Okay, well, we're about to see the Manly side come onto the field here at Penrith Park. So far, Penrith led out by their captain and their veteran, Royce Simmons. And here come the boos now for the Sea Eagles as they go through the gates here at Penrith Park behind their classy skipper, Michael O'Connor, who's had a marvellous start to 1990. Cliff Lyons after him, then young Danny Russell. Big game for him, his first full game in first grade. Martin Bella in the Manly colours, looking trim, taut and terrific for 1990. Should be an excellent game. Last man through the tunnel, he of the long hair, former Penrith junior, very much a Sea Eagle for the last 5-6 seasons, and that is Des Hasler. A very warm welcome to all you people in hospital listening to the broadcast this afternoon, and particularly the young kids at Prince Henry Children's Hospital. I was there during the week, and they're all listening this afternoon, and I hope you all get well soon, kids. Great to have you with us. Stand by for the national anthem. Okay, settle back. crack a can of Tooheys or get yourself out a cup of tea, whatever your choice. We're in for a great afternoon of rugby league on 2GB News Talk 873, brought to you by Auto Village Holden, Tooheys, LJ Hooker and Liquor Stop. Let's get into it right now. Here's Hollywood.
Thanks, Pete. Whistle now going from referee Eddie Ward. Kicked off down into the arms of little Jeff Turvey, 8 metres out from his own goal line. Immediately pulled to ground by Izzard. He'll get up now to play it. Back it goes into the arms this time of Michael O'Connor. He can pick up about 5 metres or so and knock to the ground. Up again to play it once again to Jones. He gives it across now to David Hoskins. Tunks comes in over the top to knock him down just outside the Manly quarter line. The call is on. Jones again at dummy half, turns it back now to Martin Bella, and Geyer up quickly around the head.
Okay, young Danny Russell, the hooker for Manly, hopping into that dummy half spot. There's the kick back and
Stokes has been put out of business.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The referee's picked it up. Yes, he has. Mark Geyer, the player in question, and Geyer will be spoken to. Now, it was a high there. He went into him. He's a big, tall fellow, and I'm not going to say, I don't think anything should happen other than a penalty. And it won't.
Yeah, there was no malice in it at all, Peter.
Certainly wasn't. He didn't go through with it. He put a bit of pressure on, and that penalty suffices. Sideline eye, best in the business, Tony McGay.
Well, I thought he should have let it go. Guy definitely eased up. It wasn't a penalty offence.
Okay, well, there it is. Two differences of opinion, but I don't think that he could have let that go, Greg, without it something.
No, he had to give the penalty. The bloke was put out of play after the kick, but as you said, the penalty sufficed in that situation.
Okay, Michael O'Connor kicked 6 last week, and he'd love to get Manly off to a good start here at Penrith Park this afternoon in the opening minutes.
Yeah, he can kick. He's 42 metres out from, or 41 metres out from the Penrith goal line, and he's about 20 metres in from touch on the new grandstand side of Penrith Park. He comes in now. Well, what's he going to do? Oh, it's hit the bar. Came back straight into the arms of Izzard. An unlucky kick, but Penrith in possession now. Izzard, he plays it back to Carter. Carter goes forward. He's pulled down 15 metres out from the Penrith goal line. Plays it now back into the arms of Alexander. He's had a short crew cut to Alexander, but he's immediately knocked down over the top. Getting up the play it back, it goes to Simmons, to Tungsten. Oh, he's taken on by Martin Bella. Gets a pass back once again into the arms of Brooke Kennedy, who was knocked down just outside his own quarter line. And a penalty now going to the Penrith side. Russell was involved, so was Martin Bella. The penalty given 24 metres out from the Penrith goal line.
Okay, so Manly striking the crossbar was Michael O'Connor and not going over. There's a great kick by the Penrith kicker. I think it was Chris Mortimer on that occasion,
yep.
And certainly found touch well on Manly's side of halfway. Penrith in possession now.
McIndoe, the man in possession, taken over the top by Bella. Plays it now back to Royce Simmons, gives it across to Cartwright. Cartwright wrapped up 2 over the top once again by Hoskins and Bella. He plays it now to Simmons, all back to Carter. He juggles it, then back to Mark Geyer going forward. But he's taken over the top 2 and a strong hit by Ryan and company. Little Tooby down underneath him. Now Brooke Kennedy charging forward, up to within 28 metres of the Manly Warringah goal line. Royce Simmons at dummy half across to Peter Tunks. Tunks again going forward until he's met by strong defence from the Manly side. And we've got a problem. Peter Tunks being called out.
There was a very strong tackle by the Manly player, John Jones, and Peter Tunks has been called out. Oh, yeah, an elbow across the face as he was getting off the tackle player. And, gee, Greg, I reckon the referee on that occasion would have to look very closely at that. Tunks uncalled for, in possession of the football, and definitely came over the top with the elbow on the face of John Jones. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, he certainly didn't. He didn't miss him either. Maybe lucky to be on the field. A big offence for sure.
Would be very lucky to be on the field.
Hoskins charging forward now off the free kick, getting up the play. Back now to Russell, gives it across to Martin Bella, charging forward and taking 3 of the Penrith defenders out of the line. Plays it back to Russell again, gives a good pass across to Tooby, out now to Lyons, to Tooby on the wraparound, but again Izzard's up there and following his form from last week in defence. Plays it now to Lyons, from the back of the ruck, Lyons kicks downfield, forcing Alexander to go across and just watch it go over the touch line, about 10 metres out from the Panthers goal line.
4 minutes gone at Penrith Park, 0-0 on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Let's check them for footy tab. Tony Peters.
No score, Cronulla and St George.
Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 2, North 0.
Phil Tressida.
No score, Brisbane and Balmain.
Ross Allen.
No score, Newcastle West.
Scrum to go down, you've missed nothing.
One by Penrith, straight out now to Alexander. Cliff lines up very quickly to knock him down in company with Glenn Ryan. He'll play it now to Kennedy. Kennedy has a look across field. The call's on by McIndoe in from the wing position. He can only pick up an extra metre or so. Done for the tackle. Now it's Royce Simmons. He picks up a good 15 metres or so. They turned their back now, the defence. in the Manly side. Back to Alexander. Gives it across this time to Kelly, charging forward like a bull at a gate. 30 metres out now from the line. Royce Simmons gives it back to Alexander. And young Alexander, alias Brandy, puts the leather well downfield. And Tony Iro going back to pick it up. He's got Stokes with him. Elects to go on his own. He's a big lump of a bloke too. But again, we've got Brad Izzard down around the legs to stop the man. Played to Michael O'Connor. Across to Stokes, going across field. He tries to go around one or two, but he's taken by Chris Mortimer around the legs. And Cartwright over the top. Back now it goes to Russell across to Tooby. Good pass out the lines. He puts it down. He gives it across now into the arms of, it was Hasler, but the knock-on's been ruled.
Okay, Cliff Lyons there just trying to get the ball away. It was touch and go, but the referee said a knock-on, and this has put pressure on Manly, only 13 metres out from their own goal line.
Alexander feeding the scrum.
Gee, that's interesting, Greg.
Yep, he snuck up. I watched him come up, Peter. And he goes from the back of the scrum. He gives it out to Izzard. Lyons desperately hangs on to him by the shirt tail. I needed another two over the top to finish him off, but it's gone across now to Kennedy. And little Tooby takes Kennedy with Martin Bella, David and Goliath in that situation. Back now to Kelly. Kelly gives it to Geyer. Geyer pushes one back. It was Jones, and he's up there to play it. Goes across to Carter. Good pass out once again to Alexander, but he slips and goes to ground. He plays it to Carter, a long pass to Kennedy. Kennedy gives it out now. It's a try to Smith, but it's been ruled forward. Forward.
Yeah, 6 minutes gone. Penrith in for the try, but referee Eddie Ward has ruled a forward pass from Brooke Kennedy. And the pass to Smith certainly sent him with a clear passage in for the try, but the referee in a good position and has ruled no try, so let off the Manly. Penrith did everything right there.
And Manly win the scrum. Tooby straight out to Iro in from the wing position. He's knocked down 8 metres out from the Manly goal line. Lyons now giving it across to Dunford, and he can only get just up some 12 metres away from the line. Once again, it's Russell at dummy half. Sends it across this time to Jones. Jones struggles forward outside of his own quarter line. Picked up 12 metres or so. He plays it back to Russell again. It's been knocked on. And he's saying inside the 5, Eddie Ward. He's not going to cop it today. And it was Big Geyer standing over the man in the ruck. Penalty to Manly on their own quarter line.
Okay, so Manly and the Penrith Panthers certainly at it early. And Manly lucky to escape that charge by the Penrith side, which resulted in the right winger Smith going in, but referee Eddie Ward ruling the final pass from the lock forward. Kennedy was forward. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Blair's a shot ployed by Penrith. Alexander at half back and Izzard 5'8" in attack.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, Martin Bella makes 15 metres on the charge.
Yeah, Hosking charging forward now. He's 28 metres out from the Penrith goal line. Russell again a dummy half. Tooby's call for it, receives it out. Now it goes to Lyons. He calls him around, but he gives it back to Glenn Ryan. Brooke Kennedy's there to look after him, and he'll play it 29 metres out from the Penrith goal line to Lyons. Across now into the arms of Jones, and Jones pulled down on the Penrith quarter line. Up once again to play it to Russell, gives it out now to Tooby. I thought might have been a bit forward. A good pass off to now to Ryan. But Ryan pulled down with one tackle left to go. 5 out from the Penrith line. Russell across now to Cliff Lyons. He chips over the head of one or two. McIndoe and Stokes race for the ball, but it's touch and goal, so they're back to the quarter line.
Good attacking play by Manly, putting pressure back on Penrith, and certainly if they can get that back line moving, they can cause some damage in this game. Good game of football at Penrith Park after 8 minutes. 0-all on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Let's check them for footy tab around the grounds. Tony Peters at Caltex.
Cronulla 2, St George 0.
Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 2, North 0.
Phil Tressida.
No score, Balmain and Brisbane.
Ross Allen.
No score, Newcastle and West.
Okay, Penrith in possession now from the tap on the corner.
Kelly up the play. Back it goes now to Royce Simmons to Cartwright. Cartwright getting a good ball across to Carter, who was in support. And he's pulled down now 4 short of the halfway line. Royce Simmons a dummy half back to Alexander. Talk about quick play the balls. Iro now faces a task to run back right to his own goal line. Smith on him, but he beats him cool. Goes across field, beats a second one. Beats a third one, gives a good pass across into the arms that time.
Sean Townsend.
Yeah, Townsend flying downfield, up over his own quarter line, and a good burst of 25 metres.
Good play by the Manly wingers, combining there to take the ball out from their own goal line. Lyons with room.
Oh,
room
through the gap too. And he was through the gap, but he's knocked down. Gets up again to quickly play the ball to Iro. Now Hoskins charging forward. And Guyer's in over the top to pull him down 5 short of the halfway line. Russell a dummy half across to Dunford, charging forward too, and a beautiful tackle down low by Kennedy stops that run. Russell from the back of the ruck. He's found them wanting a little bit too in defence, Penrith, as he races away. One tackle left to go. David Hoskins, a dummy half, sends it across to Cliff Lyons. Lyons gets a good-looking kick. It'll beat Smith over the touchline, 14 metres out from the Penrith goal line.
Well, great game at Penrith Park. Attack is the main weapon of both sides, and they're showing that they're very capable of that. It could come down to the side that has possession of the football most. Both sides have good two big front rowers in Hosking and Bella for Manly, and Kelly and Tunks for Penrith doing their job well. There's an awful pass from Carter at the scrum base.
Yes, and I'll tell you what, Mortimer did well to hang on to that one. But now it's played. It goes back to Bentley. He tries to race away, can only pick up a metre or so. He's 8 out from his own goal line. Alexander, a dummy half. He gives it across now again to Brooke Kennedy, who picks up an extra few metres. He plays it to Royce Simmons, gives it across now to Izzard. Izzard noted for busting the first line, but he can't get away from Dunford, who was first man in with the hit with Jones over the top. He'll play it back to Simmons. Good pass to Alexander. Again from his own quarter line, getting a kick downfield. He'll be fielded by Stokes on his quarter. Comes up, he's made 10, 15, 20, and then starts to go across field. The defence came at him, but he did pick up 20 metres or so. He's 10 short of the halfway line and knocked to the ground. It's played now to Glenn Ryan. He gives it across now into the arms of Townsend again. Up to be pulled down some 5 metres short of the halfway line. Russell, a dummy half, gives it back to Jones, and Jones charges forward. He picks up a valuable 10 metres or so for the Sea Eagles. Plays it to Russell. Russell bypasses one out to Bella, but he's got Penrith offside out wide in Bentley and Izzard, the two centres. Offside penalty given to the Manly team, 38 metres out from the Penrith goal line.
Michael O'Connor will line this one up right in front and just short of the 40-metre mark. He hit the upright with his first kick at goal, and this will be his second one. Okay, scrums are 3-1 to Penrith, and the penalties are 4-1 to Manly. Let's check the scores around the grounds on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 2, St George 0.
Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 2, North 0.
Phil Tressida.
Brisbane 2, Balmain 0.
Ross Allen.
No score, Newcastle and West.
Okay, back at Penrith Park now. Michael O'Connor goes around the corner.
Yep, around the corner, more or less centre field. He's about 5 yards off the centre. No more. As he comes in now, around the corner style kicker. He hit it confidently, and he's got the 2 points!
Michael O'Connor kicks the penalty. Manly 2, lead Penrith 0 at Penrith Park. First points coming in the 12th minute of the game. Michael O'Connor, a neat penalty goal, certainly spot on. He's kicking one, hit the crossbar, and that one straight between the uprights. Of course, he's a class kicker. When you kick for Australia on a kangaroo tour, you've got to be good. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Gee, those couple of Manly young forwards, they've lost nothing in comparison with the Penrith pack. Jones and Russell, two top players.
Yeah, they certainly are. Manly going very well at the moment against a good Penrith side. These are two evenly matched teams here at Penrith Park.
Michael O'Connor now playing it back to Cliff Lyons. He picks up Tooby out wide. Tooby does well to try and get around McIndoe. He's got the football, went back into the field of play, and the advantage went to Mortimer for Penrith. Now it's played. It goes to Izzard. Izzard now a long pass up to Geyer. Geyer who put his hand up. He's going to try and stand, but then Jones came over the top to put him away just out the Manly quarter line. Plays it once again out to Royce Simmons. He dummies, has a look, but then he's taken after picking up 2 metres or so. 18 out from the Manly line. Geyer a dummy half. He does that, goes forward in a big charge. 8 metres away now from the Manly goal line and pulled down by Martin Bella. Royce Simmons a dummy half across down to Stevie Carter. Long pass picks up Alexander. Fends off one, turns it back to Mortimer. Then on to Kelly. Kelly now gives it across to Tunks out. It goes to Cartwright. Cartwright's allowed to stand. He gives it back that time to Carter. He goes without it. Has to go through to pick up the ball and the advantage for Manly. And then he's pulled down by Cartwright. Good work from Des Hasler. He plays it now to Russell. Across down to Cliffy Lyons charging forward. He's got his legs chopped from under him by Tunks. Gets up to play it forward. No marker. Races through. Chips on the first tackle. Can't get the bounce. Alexander takes the initiative for the Penrith side.
Brilliant work by Cliff Lyons. There's some class players in this side. Penrith straight on the attack.
Out to McIndoe. And he's knocked down on the far side. He plays it now back and goes into the arms of Izzard. And he's got Manly offside now. Penalty to the Penrith side. 2 metres over the halfway line against Manly in Sea Eagle territory.
Greg, it's interesting to note, and I think that was one for the crowd. McIndoe was tackled on the Penrith 10-metre line. Eddie Ward has given the penalty on the Manly side of halfway by a metre. Now, how can they be inside 5 metres? You explain that to me, and Dennis Braybrook, 14 minutes into the game, you explain it to me.
I tried to teach you that, well, not teach you, but tell you that yesterday. They're not getting them where they should be, and that's where you pinch them, is where they are. Not down the field. The free kick now to be taken. They pick it up 10 metres on every penalty. Back it goes now into the Penrith man. Alan McIndoe nearly slipped the pass away to Brooke Kennedy coming through, but Ryan was there to finish him off. Now it goes across to Tunks. Tunks offloads beautifully out to Mortimer. Mortimer turns it inside to Bentley. Little Turvey's up there and he's got hold of him. Like a Christmas present. He wasn't going to let him go. He gets up again to play it back. Now it goes to Royce Simmons out to Carter. Picks up a beautiful pass too. Does Kelly from Carter, but he's put away 12 metres out from the Manly goal line. Once again, Royce Simmons across to Carter. Carter's got Kennedy with him, and Kennedy carries it again into that 10-metre area, taken by Tooby and Ryan. Up the plate to Simmons, gives it across to Cartwright to Geyer. Geyer with a kick over the top. They all go up for it. Making big Tony Iro's the man. Does a 360 in his own goal out into the field of play, picks up 5 metres.
There's a couple of giraffes there in Tony Iro and Mark Geyer. Good kick from Geyer. Put a lot of pressure on Manly. Tony Iro back there beautifully to take the ball and get out into the field of play. This is a magnificent game of football thus far. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Crackerjack game, attack and counter-attack, both ends.
Certainly is his Hasler from dummy half.
Gives it straight back now to Russell again, and he had to look for support. Ryan said, got the tackle. And he did too with big Johnny Cartwright over the top. Tooby now at dummy half. He gives it back once again to Cliffy Lyons. Lyons puts it down to Alexander, who picks it up magnificently. Back 30 metres from his own line. Goes across field. Has a bit of a stumble. Jones comes up to take him by one leg. Strong defence that time from Manly. He'll play it now back to Carter. Carter sends it across this time to Smith coming in from the wing. And Smith brings it up another 10 metres or so. Too short of the halfway line. Still in Penrith territory. Carter again from the back of the ruck. Gets a kick in. It's off the leg that time of Hoskins. Manages to pick it up too and gain possession for the Manly side. Tunks has got hold of him. Geyer come over the top to make sure he went down, which he did in no uncertain fashion. Now it's gone back to Russell. He gives it now once again to big Martin Bella striding forward. He's up to quickly play the ball once again back to Russell, out to Jones, and Jones hits it up for another good 10 metres or so. As Peter Peters sitting alongside me urges his team on. Dunford now charging forward, but he's wrapped up in a good tackle by Brooke Kennedy, copybook style around the legs. Tooby at dummy half the lines. Picks it out now to Michael O'Connor, tried the step. Oh, Kelly in over the top with a swooper. It got the mark too. He'll rush his head. Now it goes across into the arms of Lyons. Oh, a pass touched in flight. That's a knock on. He's let it go. We've got a race on down now. And it's going to be McIndoe. He's chased by Cliffy Lyons. But McIndoe's going to score. I thought that was touched by a Penrith player.
No, Greg, I think it came off a Manly player. It's a fair try for mine. Don't think there's any doubt of that. Against the run of play, Penrith have scored. It was Cliff Lyons out wide. Throwing the pass came off Frank Stokes. Picked up by a Penrith player, Izzard. A beautiful pass around the corner by Brad Izzard to McIndoe, and McIndoe's raced 60 metres to score the try. Nobody in that Manly side could get near McIndoe, and that's a brilliant Penrith try. Marvellous pass by the Penrith centre, Brad Izzard. Izzard picked up the ball after it was knocked by Frank Stokes. Stokes was up in the line for Manly in the defensive line. No one at home, and Penrith have raced in the try after 18 minutes of play. A magnificent try by Alan McIndoe, who's running with great pace and determination in 1990.
Alexander now 9 metres out. Right smack dab in front. He hits it beautifully, Brandy, and over it goes for another 2 points. Well, nobody can tell me that Phil Gould hasn't breathed a breath of fresh air into Brad Izzard's game, because he is doing everything right.
Yeah, he certainly is, Greg. That was a magnificent pass. Let's check the scores around the grounds on the Mitsubishi scoreboard for Footy Tab. Tony Peters at Caltex.
Cronulla 2, St George 0.
Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 2, Norths 0.
Phil Tressida.
Balmain 6, Brisbane 2.
Ross Allen in Newcastle.
Still no score, Newcastle and Wests.
Okay, Balmain 6, Brisbane 2. Khan the Tigers. Okay, back at Penrith Park. Restart of play. Chris Mortimer from the kickoff puts it straight back to Manly.
Yeah, Stokes taking it very nicely too, thank you. And he goes through the gap. Ken Hyde too. He steps another 1 or 2 up over the halfway line, but he's lost possession of the ball. All the good work. Ryan picks it up.
Yeah, well, that's his second mistake in a few minutes there. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, he's having an ordinary game, Stokes. A lot of pressure on him there, but Lyons should have taken that tackle.
Okay, so sideline eye, Tony McGay saying that they should have played safe with that one. Okay, 6-2 to the Penrith side over Manly, and Penrith coming on strong right at this moment.
Yes, and Tunks pulled down by Dunford and Jones, but it's played now to Simmons, gives it back to Carter. Carter taken by Jones once again over the top with Martin Bella down below. One tackle left to go. Royce Simmons back to Alexander, races through the Jeps on. Ryan was back there, gives it to Stokes. He bypasses one. It's a dreadful pass across to poor Townsend, who has to dive back and took the ball over the touchline. Gee whiz.
Well, I think that kid's confidence is down around his bootlaces. I will be very surprised if Graham Lowe doesn't indeed bring him from the field. They're dreadful blunders, and putting his side under enormous pressure at the moment is young Frank Stokes.
Scrum to go down, one by Penrith. Carter across now to Mortimer. Gives it out now to Colin Bentley. He's taken by Cliff Lyons.
I wouldn't be surprised if Iro goes back to fullback, Greg, and they move someone on that wing.
Okay, Izzard now charging forward. Oh, he pushes Hasler off. You don't see that very often. But Glenn Ryan's got hold of him and eventually pushes him down with Bella over the top. Now Alexander back down into the play. Gives it back to Geyer. Geyer has a look back. Gives it back to Alexander again. He bypasses one. He gives a pass back now to Carter. Carter takes off. He's through one gap, but he's sized up beautifully by Tuvey and Lyons. And also Jones and knocked down. It's played by out to Alexander, out to Geyer. Geyer to Cartwright. Cartwright around the corner. We've got a try. Try on the far side to Alan McIndoe.
Well, McIndoe's gone in for his second try. Very clever play that by John Cartwright around the corner. And McIndoe's gone in for his second try in 3 minutes. A very good try. Penrith just too big in the forwards. Geyer standing up. They hung off him. And then the pass around the corner by Cartwright to McIndoe was clever stuff. And Penrith now go to a lead of 10 points to 2, scoring 10 points in the last 3 minutes of play.
Well, the kick now to be taken on the far side by Greg Alexander for the Penrith side after the McIndoe try.
Good pass by Cartwright. 2 passes around the corner. One by Izzard to McIndoe. One by Cartwright to McIndoe. And the winger has scored 2 spectacular tries.
Well, I know for a fact, and so do you, Pete, that Gould was always after Izzard. He tried to get him to Canterbury, didn't he? He just said that this player's got something and maybe this is the bloke to bring it out.
Yeah, young Stokes has put Manly under pressure. That that try is a result of his terrible pass to his winger Townsend, and he should have ran the football from that position.
Alexander right on the T-bar on the far side of the ground. 22 metres out, hits it nicely. Waved away this time to the left-hand side.
Penrith 10 lead Manly 2 at Penrith Park this afternoon after 22 minutes of play. Let's check the scores on Footy Tab. Around the grounds, Tony Peters.
Cronulla 6, St George 0. Cronulla with a kick to come.
Tim Prentice at Para Stadium.
Parramatta 2, North 0.
Phil Tressiter at Leichhardt.
Balmain 6, Brisbane 2.
Ross Allen in Newcastle.
Still no score, Newcastle Wests.
Okay, sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, that was the result of Stokes. He's having problems at the back under enormous pressure. He threw that ball in to touch the feed and a try.
He certainly did, and you can't afford that against a side with as much attacking ability as Penrith. Manly started the game well. The opening 18 minutes was they were probably the better side, but Penrith have pressed the go button in the last few minutes.
Sure have, and we've seen Tony Iro round up the kick from tackle one downfield. Stokes gets away from another one or two trying to make up, but he's pulled down on his own quarter line by Cartwright. He's up there to play it to Russell, sends it across this time to Hoskins, and Big Peter Tunks has got hold of David Hoskins and he's dragging him down on the Manly quarter line. Stokes has hurt himself, but it's back to Russell again, goes across this time to Ryan. Glenn Ryan trying to bust the tackle of Geyer, but just too big and too strong, Mark Geyer, and he puts him down. Plays it to Russell again, across now to Martin Bella. Bella charging forward, trying to step over the tackle of Izzard to no avail. Cartwright in there to add the extra weight. Plays it back to Russell. A long pass now back to Cliffy Lyons, and Lyons gets a kick downfield across to the wing of Smith, but it's picked up by Alexander on the first occasion. He can't go past Jones. It is knocked down 38 out from the Penrith goal line.
Well, Stokes looks like coming from the field. He's got a knee injury and they're going to have to replace him right at the moment. Smith making a run for Penrith. Penrith looking awesome and look capable of carving Manly right up at the moment.
Simmons giving it across now to Brooke Kennedy. Hasler takes him well and truly 40 metres out from the Manly goal line. Back once again, it goes to Simmons out the Carter. Good pass to Guy. They keep it alive through Izzard. And Izzard goes to ground that time. Plays it once again to Royce Simmons across now to Cartwright. He's through the gap. He looks back. He gave a pass to Geyer. Geyer flicked it away, but it's been ruled forward by Ward, who was smack on the 30-metre line. Offside position, not from an onside position penalty.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Greg. That was a forward pass. Cartwright very adept at getting the pass away. Got one away a few moments ago for a try, and that one a forward pass. But when you're classy in that caper of the game, you can certainly have a go at that sort of thing. Some come off and some don't. Craig Hancock on for Manly on the wing. Tony Iro going to fullback as we suggested.
Back now it goes to Russell for the tap, and he gives it out Straight into the arms of Martin Bella. Bella pulled down 5 over the halfway line. And again, we see Russell from the back of the ruck trying to get away, but he's pulled down. He'll play it back now to Glenn Ryan. Shows it to 1 or 2, gives it back to Turvey. Turvey tries to link up out wide, and he does with Hasler. Gives it out to O'Connor. Wide it goes across to Townsend, back inside to Hasler. Hasler's got support, but he couldn't get his pass to Dunford, who was right alongside of him as he's knocked to the ground that time by Brooke Kennedy. He gets up the play to Dunford, goes across to Glenn Ryan. Wide now out to Cliffy Lyons. He changes direction, gives it back now into the arms of Russell. Out it goes now to Hancock, and Hancock's going to be wrapped up just outside the Penrith quarter line. Dunks the tackler all over the top of him. Plays it to Russell again across to Cliffy Lyons. Torpedo-style pass. It misses Michael O'Connor. Manages to pick it up. Now he beats Mortimer. Oh, he gave a shocking pass to Desi Hasler. Hasler had no chance, Peter, of catching that.
No, he certainly didn't. And Manly right at 6s and 7s at the moment. This Penrith defence is really shattering. Kelly and Tunks, and also Geyer proving too big and too strong for the Manly pack at the moment. Let's check the scores around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 8, St George 0.
Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 2, North Sydney 0.
Phil Tressida.
6-all Balmain and Brisbane.
Ross Allen, Newcastle.
Newcastle 6, West 0.
Okay, back at Penrith Park. It's Penrith leading by 10 points to 2. Kick ahead now by McIndoe.
Yeah, he chases too. Michael O'Connor too quick to get back. Oh, he's lost it. Tried to scoop it up into the arms that time of Iro. And he lost possession. It's back now with Penrith and a dreadful pass, and it's back now once again, would you believe, into the arms of Manly. A bit of sloppy stuff there. Hoskins up the plate, no marker, charging forward, picks up a tackler in Cartwright around the legs. Up once again to Platt, trying to get a penalty, and he sucked him in too. Well done, David Hoskins. Cartwright is scratching it. Well, he's shaking his head. He hasn't scratched it yet.
Well, he's got sucked in there. There's no doubt about that. That was a dead set. Manly at the moment really at 6s and 7s. They're not putting their play together. They started well, but at the moment this bigger, faster Penrith side in the forwards are certainly dominating, and Manly in a lot of trouble at the moment.
We've got Manly now on the attack through Cliffy Lyons out to Turvey. Turvey gives it to Jones, and John Jones is knocked to the ground on the far side by Izzard. Plays it now back to Dunford. He takes off from the back of the ruck, but Bentley's up there to stop that with Cartwright over the top. He will play it 30 metres out from the Penrith goal line.
For Manly to have any chance in this game, they've got to come back and they've got to score next. If Penrith score next, I don't think Manly have got the firepower to get them back.
Well, we've got Hasler now playing at the lines. Back now to Turvey. Turvey tries to go through the gap. Beautiful tackle by Kennedy down low. Russell at dummy half. He's lost the ball in the play. The ball down Turvey. There was no one there. As he got up the play, he dropped it.
Yeah, and he's on the ground looking like a little choir boy saying, "Ref, I had it knocked out of my hands," but the referee, Eddie Ward, would have none of that, and rightly so. 12 minutes out from half-time. Penrith 10, lead Manly 2 at Penrith Park. Carter feeds for Penrith.
And they win it too. Straight across now to Mortimer. He gives it out to Alexander. Extra man in. Cliffy Lyons up there to take him. Once again, he plays it to Izzard, out now to Mortimer. Mortimer charging forward, but a penalty kick to the Penrith side against Glenn Ryan, and Hasler up inside the 5 metres.
Okay, Penrith player down in back play. It's the lock forward, Brooke Kennedy. He's back just outside his own side's quarter and receiving attention at the moment. Stokes off for Manly. Iro to fullback. Hancock on the wing. Penrith 10, lead Manly 2, 11 minutes out from half-time.
Penalty kick finds touch, 35 metres out from the Manly goal line. Free kick to be taken by Royce Simmons across to Alexander, up into the line. Kelly, oh, he does handle it and went back towards his own line. He'll get up to play it now back to Peter Tunks, gives it across to Cartwright, taken on by Glenn Ryan, turns to give it to Simmons, then back to Geyer. Geyer now a little bit lighter, he shed his shoulder pads.
Little Turvey's underneath him. He's showing the Manly side how they should tackle. He has got a terrific tackle rate this afternoon. Penrith starting to make ground up the centre now.
Back now to Simmons, he gives it out to Kelly, charging forward. Kelly gives it back now to Peter Tunks. Tunks sees a gap. It closes up very quickly on the Manly quarter line. He's lost possession of the ball and very quickly picked up by Russell. He'll get up to play it now. Back to Dunford from the back of the ruck. He tries to get a bit of momentum going, but Royce Simmons is there to pull him down 30 metres out from the Manly goal line. Russell again across now to Martin Bella. Bella trying to take the big man on his pattern alone, doing all right too, as he picks it up another 10 metres or so before being put down. It's played to Russell, gives it out now to David Hoskins, and another 10 metres picked up by Manly. One short of the halfway line centre field. Eagles on the attack. Russell gives it out now to Iro, who split it right open. Look at the big Maori go. Has a look back for support. He gives it to Hancock, who's got plenty of pace. He turns the ball back inside. It's going to be picked up by Hasler, but it's gone forward. It's gone forward. And it did go forward. Penalty to Penrith, the right decision.
Yeah, good chance there for Manly. Went astray. Good bust by Tony Iro. Manly desperately trying to get back into the game before half-time. There's a headpin, John Jones to the headpin for Manly. He's out on his feet, and he'll have to be replaced now. 10 minutes before half-time. Good attacking rush there by the Manly side. Try didn't come off, but a brilliant run by Tony Iro.
And we've got the player coming on now, Chris White.
Yeah, Chris White on for Manly, and John Jones off.
Okay, there's the penalty kick taken. Finds touch just outside the Penrith quarter line. Roy Simmons with the tap, gives it across to Carter. Back it goes to Smith once again. And White up there very quickly to make his first tackle. He'll play it now to Simmons, gives it across to Cartwright. And he's taken beautifully by Glenn Ryan, centre field, 26 metres out from the Penrith goal line. Roy Simmons at dummy half across to Carter. Back once again to Mark Geyer, and Geyer's going to be held up. Turvey's stolen the ball. And he says, play on, says the referee, and why wouldn't you? Back now it goes to Dunford. Dunford tries to make some yards, but he goes across Bill and eventually is knocked down.
Okay, crazy game of football this. Penrith have scored all their points in 3 minutes. The Manly looked the better side early. Penrith, a 3-minute rush for 10 points and lead by 10 points to 2. Both sides have had scoring opportunities, but you get the impression that Penrith just a little bit too strong.
Well, we've got Hoskins in possession. After yesterday, nothing would surprise me. Martin Bella walked over the top of the...
Playing well, Bella.
Yeah, over the tackle of Cartwright, but eventually pulled down by Izzard. Now it's across to Russell, back to Turvey, a switch of players. It goes to Cliffy, lines to Michael O'Connor now. Shows it to one, good pass out wide to Hancock. He sheds off one, but it's been ruled forward by the referee. 15 out from the Penrith goal line.
Okay, 31 minutes gone in the first half. 10 points to 2 on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard. Let's check them for footy tab. Tony Peters at Caltex.
Cronulla 10, St George 0.
Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 8, North Sydney 0.
Phil Tressida.
Brisbane 8, Balmain 6.
Ross Allen.
Newcastle 6, West 0.
Okay, back at Penrith Park. Penrith in possession from that scrum, and they're 30 metres out from their own goal line via Kennedy.
And Brooke Kennedy's made a bust, had support, just couldn't slip his pass away. Hasler over the top to do the damage. Back now to Royce Simmons to Cartwright. Cartwright steps one, and eventually he's knocked down now by White. We'll get up once again to play the ball to Royce Simmons. He looks for support. He gives a pass back to Mortimer, who had the call on. Chris Mortimer now gets his kick downfield and is going to beat Townsend. It'll go over the touchline about 10 metres out from the Eagles' goal line.
Okay, there are now 7.5 minutes remaining for play in the first half here at Penrith Park. Penrith 10 lead, Manly 2 on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard. Uninterrupted football brought to you by Auto Village Holden, Tooheys, LJ Hooker and Liquor Stop. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, Penrith are in control in the forwards, just enough to force mistakes from Lyons and O'Connor, an unhappy game to date.
Okay, and Manly just missing that opportunity that they've so keenly sought in this first half. They can't afford to let Penrith in before half-time or this game's gone.
Scrum going down, Manly scrum win. Turvey was feeding it. Turvey tries to get through the gap, and what do you know, he does too, the little fella, but Alexander, just too much pace. Picked him up in a matter of 10 yards, and he's pinched the ball off him, Alexander. Disputed possession, but he said yes, play it, Alexander. Fair enough too. Back to Kennedy, goes across now to Bentley. Bentley does a 360, but he's hung on to very strongly out wide by Townsend and Bella. He'll get up to play it back to Royce Simmons, across to Cartwright once again. Cartwright charges forward, look back for support, got it too again in Brooke Kennedy's having a blind at this Kennedy, and he's pulled out on the Manly quarter line by little Turvey. Royce Simmons back now to Kelly, to Geyer, across this time to Carter. Carter again wrapped up on the Manly quarter line. We'll get up again to play it back now to Royce Simmons. Elects to go on his own. Dunford dives around the legs. They've got one tackle left to go. They're on the Manly quarter line. It's played now. It goes to Kennedy. Up now to Alexander. A long pass. Picks up Smith. Smith gets around one. Does he? No, he's pulled down. And over the touchline he goes.
It's a change over of possession, Greg. So it'll be a Manly play the ball. Alexander's got the ball, taking it back 10 metres. And that should be a penalty by the referee, Eddie Ward. O'Connor to play the ball. You know, little things like that the referees have got to pick up. He just picked the ball up, Alexander, walked 10 metres and then dropped it. Yeah. That is a dead set penalty, again in the 34th minute.
Oh, he's not missing too much, but he did miss that one. Manly in possession of the football. David Hoskins limping two now. He gets up the play it back to Russell, then to Tony Iro. And Iro's going to have to take a bit of the workload off this pack and come in more often for Mike because he's big enough. Now little Desi Hasler takes off. Royce Simmons is around the legs. He gives it back to Russell. Took that beautifully. But Russell's pass is astray. Turvey's back there to collect the dregs. He gives the pass down to Townsend in impossible position, but he's going to make valuable yards to Townsend up the centre of the ground. He's 28 metres out from his own goal line.
Well, Manly are ad-libbing at the moment. Here's Bella. Bella's having a very strong game. Swinging arm over the top by Bentley, misses the target there.
Back it goes now to Clippy Lyons. He elects to chip over the top. He said, Michael O'Connor, you're onside. So does the referee. But Alexander up there tries to step one or two. Can't get away from the tackle of Hancock, but got his pass back to Carter. Carter now dummies. He gives it back down to Izzard on the charge, but Izzard pulled down over the halfway line by Ryan. Up once again to Platt. That's better stuff from Penrith as we see Carter give one out now to Kelly. Kelly wants to take Ryan on, and also Dunford. And the two Maroons too strong for the brown and white. Gives it out now to Tunks, and Tunks flicks one out the back door. Simmons was expecting that. He tries to go forward again, and it's left for Ryan and White to pull him down. We'll play at centre field, 35 metres out from the Manly goal line. It goes across to Bentley, back now to Kennedy, and Kennedy's kick up over the top. And it goes to Townsend, who picks the football up 5 metres out from his own goal line. Got a bit of pace too, but he can only bring it up another 5, and he's trapped 10 metres out from the Manly goal line.
Greg, the former Brisbane player, Brooke Kennedy, is having an excellent game, as you said a few moments ago. He's everywhere in this Penrith side today, and they've certainly bought a winner with him. He's a very talented player, having a good game and settling in well. Here's Lyons, no room to move.
Yeah, well, he stepped Kennedy that time. He makes his own room. Forward pass, wait for the prize for Clippy Lyons.
And inside was Des Hasler. Hasler would have been off for the prize.
And Hancock was there too.
Yeah, Lyons hung on too long there, and a forward pass. There was a gap there. He went through it, but he had Hasler on the inside. Hasler and also the Penrith fullback, Greg Alexander, would have had an exciting race there. Hasler on the fly. I think the little fellow might have been able to score. And Hasler threw his hands up in disgust when Lyons went the wrong way. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, not often you see Lyons take the wrong option, but that was an occasion. If he'd gone to Hasler, he'd have streeted them. Hasler, we saw him do it in the sevens.
Yeah, certainly would have on that occasion. Alexander lining the ball up now, and this is 32 metres out, 34 metres out, and well within kicking range of Greg Alexander, who this afternoon has 1 from 2. Penrith 10, Manly 2.
12 metres in from touch, 34 out. Zorba said from the Manly goal line, moving off the mark too. That suicidally hits this, but it's going to go well away to the left-hand side and out the back door on the full. So we're back to the quarter from a penalty kick. A drop kick to start play.
Okay, and that's Manly missing 2 opportunities to score in the last 15 minutes, and I think that'll haunt them at the end of this game. Let's check them around the grounds. Tony Peters at Caltex.
Cronulla 10, St George 0.
Tim Prentice at Para Stadium.
Parramatta 9, North Sydney 6.
Phil Tressor at Leichhardt.
Well, it's Brisbane 8-6, but Balmain have got a kick in front of the post.
Okay, Ross Allen in Newcastle.
Half-time, Newcastle 6, West 0.
Okay, back at Penrith. Penrith on the attack. We've got a couple of minutes remaining in the first half. They're 30 metres out from the Manly goal line.
Yeah, and I thought that was a forward pass from Simmons to Kelly, but Simmons is back in position. Back to Cartwright. Alexander goes through the gap, but without the pill. Picked up now by White. Chris White is knocked to the ground, 28 metres out from the Manly goal line. Back now to Dunford, across now to Ryan. And Ryan wrapped up too beautifully by Kelly down low. 30 metres away, centre field from the Manly goal line. Russell giving it across now to Martin Bella. He's taken by Tunks, coughs up possession. A scramble for the football. Cartwright coming up with the ball. And he'll get up there to play it back to Cole Bentley, who looks down the blind side, elects to go down the open. Picked up again by Dunford and White, getting up the play it quickly. Back it goes to Royce Simmons, gives it out to Brooke Kennedy. Kennedy tries to go over the tackle of Lyons, but he's pulled down. Simmons again, back to Kelly, throws a dreadful pass, knocked down, picked up by Cliff Lyons, and Lyons took off. I thought that came down off him too, but play on.
I thought it was a knock on, Greg.
Yep, it was, Pete, but we've got Manly.
He's ruled a charge down.
Got Michael O'Connor playing it back to Cliffy Lyons again, out now to Chris White. Chris White had a look back and no one was going with him. Russell looked at him but just didn't have the petrol to get to him. Now it's Russell giving it across to Tooby. Tooby turns it inside to Ryan. Ryan keeps it alive back to little Tooby again, and he's pulled down over the top that time by Cole Bentley. Up to play the ball to Dunford, gives it across now to Hasler once again. Hasler steps away from one, gives it out the lines. A long pass picks up Michael O'Connor. O'Connor tries to take off, but again he's scrambled by Kennedy right around the booties. He'll play the ball once again to Hancock, who sends it centre field. Back to Lyons. Lyons puts a kick on. He's called one play offside. I don't know who it is, but Alexander beautifully up to take that ball a metre from his line.
Magnificent take. He's a class player, and that take is certainly indicative of how well this fellow can play fullback. Penrith lead Manly by 10 points to 2, and they're only seconds, 22 left in the first half.
Penrith in possession of the ball, and again Smith. He races the ball away from the back of the ruck towards the centre of the ground and knocked down by Ryan. Back now to Royce Simmons, gives it across this time to Mortimer, and Mortimer's going to be pulled down by Russell. Royce Simmons again at dummy half, tries to go from one, he beats two, and then eventually again taken over the top by Ryan as the siren goes.
10 points to 2 at half-time in favour of Penrith. 2 Alan McIndoe tries in the space of 3 minutes. In the 18th minute and the 21st minute has given Penrith a lead of 10 points to 2. Manly, 1 goal from 2 attempts to Michael O'Connor for the Penrith side. 2 tries to McEnroe, 1 goal from 2 attempts to Greg Alexander. The scrums in the first half are 7-2 to Penrith, and the penalties are 5-all. Let's check the half-time scores around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Half-time here, Cronulla 10 leads St George 0.
Tim Prentice at Parramatta Stadium.
Half-time, Parramatta 9, North 6.
Phil Tressiter at Leichhardt.
It's 8-all at half-time, Brisbane and Balmain.
Ross Allen in Newcastle.
At half-time, Newcastle 6, West 0.
Okay, let's hop straight into the half-time summaries at Caltex Field. Tony Peters.
Thanks, Peter. Cronulla 10 leads St George 0 here at half-time at Caltex Field. John Davidson scored the only try of the first half after 22 minutes, and Alan Wilson has kicked 3 goals from 4 attempts. The scrums here favour Cronulla 4-3, and the Sharks have also had the best of the penalties, 7-5. Well, the league's co-frontrunners Cronulla have continued their good start to the season. The smart Sharks have dominated the first 40 minutes of this match, and St George can consider themselves lucky not to be further behind. Radar-like boot of Alan Wilson with 3 from 4 and a smart blindside try by winger John Davidson, his 4th for the season, has the Sharks looking good. Cronulla have been positive and enterprising in all their work, and St George haven't threatened at any stage except just prior to half-time when second rower John Fafita lost the ball over the line after a tackle by Andrew Enninghausen. The Sharks had first use of the wind and spent most of the first half camped in Saints territory. The St George side don't appear to have the answers to Cronulla's pace and enterprise. Apart from St George's one effort, they've looked very scraggy, and they'll need to lift their game very much at half-time. They'll need to regroup and redevelop their particular pattern. And if they don't come up with an answer to Miller, Enninghausen and company, the score will get right away from them in the second half. The reserve grade here at Caltex, Cronulla 32, St George 24, President's Cup, St George 26, Cronulla 6, and repeating here in first grade, Cronulla 10, St George 0.
Thanks very much, Tony Peters. Tim Prentice at Parramatta Stadium.
The half-time score, Parramatta line lead North Sydney 6. And the scoring details, Parramatta's points come from a try by Brett Kenny. Fitzhenry has landed 2 goals, and Peter Sterling has landed a field goal. North Sydney's points come from a try by centre Kelly Egan, and Paul Conlon has landed a goal. The statistics at this stage, Norths lead the scrums 3-2, and in the penalty department, Parramatta are ahead 5-3. Well, it's been a terrific contest so far with plenty of ball movement, heaps of full-blooded tackling. Norths have actually enjoyed the better of the play territorially, but they've only been able to post 1 try despite applying most of the pressure. It's full credit to the Eels. They've really soaked up a hell of a lot of pressure. Norths have camped on their line for a good 20 minutes in the first half. They have got the ball up the other end of the field once or twice, and on one of those occasions, an excellent try posted by Kenny, a great team effort, plenty of razzle-dazzle in it. It was landed by Kenny in the 26th minute. A great sideline conversion by fullback Fitzhenry gave the Eels
cars. Some vehicles have only minimal hail damage, and there are 270 new and used cars to choose from. But be quick, the best will go first. The huge hail damage clearance at Auto Village Holden, 266 Hume Highway, Cabramatta. Phone 728 7333.
Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as you. LJ Hooker, you're the best.
Whether you're buying or selling, talk to LJ Hooker.
Nobody does it better. LJ Hooker, you're the best.
Let's go back to Penrith Park for the second half of Manly and Penrith. League 90 is brought to you by LJ Hooker, Auto Village Holden, Liquor Stop and Tui's. Here's Greg and Pete.
Welcome back to Penrith Park. Penrith in the 12th minute period of the first half, the 18th minute period of the first half, a try to Alan McIndoe, an inside pass by Brad Izzard. That was their first 6 points, and then in the 21st minute, just 3 minutes later, another beautiful pass around the corner by John Cartwright gave McIndoe his second try. That's been the scoring in the first half in the try department. Manly led 2-0 early in the game, and they have bombed several opportunities to score tries. Let's go down to our sideline eye. Tony McGay as both sides take the field for the second half.
Well, a significant change on the Penrith side of it. Guy's been replaced by Fittler. Now, we're yet to confirm whether Guy is indeed injured, but Fittler into the side. We'll just watch for where he plays. I'd say maybe Mortimer could go to Lockett. He'd play 5'8", but we'll just see.
Okay, so there it is from sideline eye. Brad Fittler on for the Penrith side, and Geyer is off. So that's the only change to the Penrith side, which leads by 10 points to 2 at half time. And I dare say a couple of those Manly forwards will be quite happy that the Giraffe's off. He's had a pretty strong first half.
He has, so he must be injured, Peter. I don't think he'd be replaced in a game like this, but when you've got a fellow like Fittler to go on,
well,
you never know what Gus will
stepping
do.
will be a very dangerous commodity for Manly. We spoke to Coach Phil Gould prior to the game, half an hour prior to the game, and he said that Fittler was indeed ready for first grade. He had a brilliant game in the reserves today. There's the restart of play.
Straight into the arms of Steve Carter, back in his own in goal. Immediately comes out and puts the ball well down the centre of the ground. A long towering kick. Tony Iro coming over now to pick it up. He needs support. Townsend's back with him. Starts to go, but too slow. And he's easily picked off some 40-odd metres out from his own goal line. Playing the ball now back to Hancock from the back of the ruck. He races away and he's going to be knocked down by Chris Mortimer. 5 metres short of the halfway line centre field. Russell at dummy half across to Jones, who's back on the field. White back on the touchline again, so it was a head bin job. Now it's played to Russell. He gives it out this time to David Hoskins. Hits it up very, very slowly. And he's pulled down 5 metres over the halfway line. He quickly plays the ball. Back he goes to Russell. Across now out to Martin Bella. Taken on 2 by Brooke Kennedy. And also Royce Simmons down low. Russell again at dummy half. Sends a good pass back to Cliff Lyons. And Lyons now, he's going to kick downfield. Forcing Alexander to go back into his own in goal. Beautifully picking the ball up. Gets back out into the field to play. But then is taken on the far side and knocked to the ground. Smith from the dummy half position. He'll pick up 1 or 2, maybe 10 metres or so before he's knocked down by Dunford. Quickly playing the ball, back it goes now to Carter, and Russell's over the top of him on the Penrith quarter line. He's pulled down, quickly plays the ball to Simmons, back it goes to Kelly. Kelly steps over the top of one, then he meets up with Ryan, who puts him down, face down 2 in the turf. It's back now to Simmons, to Greg Alexander, and Alexander applies pressure again with a kick downfield, but beautifully taken by Tony Iro. He hits it up within 8 metres of the halfway line before he runs into Tunks. He'll play it now to Tuvey. Tuvey across to John Jones. Jones up over the halfway line before being knocked down a metre into Penrith territory.
Manly hanging in there, Greg, but I get the impression that, they desperately need a fit and strong Ian Roberts and Darryl Williams in their side if they're going to be any sort of a force in this premiership. Those 2 key players are, they would make the world of difference to them at the moment, wouldn't they?
They sure would, particularly Roberts up front, Peter. Big, strong and ball skills. He'd certainly be an acquisition. But now we've got Hoskins trying desperately to offload with one arm. 1 tackle left to go to the Eagles. And at this stage, they have not landed, let me tell you. It goes across the Tuvey, out it goes into the arms of Cliffy Lyons. Lyons puts a kick on, but again, Greg Alexander reads the play beautifully, takes it on the first bounce, but he can't get away from a strong hit down below by Glenn Ryan. No marker, has knocked the football on too. Very excited in the play the ball.
Well, Greg, that's very uncharacteristic of Greg Alexander. He saw that Manly didn't have a marker situation there, tried to play it forward and knocked it on. Now, Manly need to get first points in the second half to make a game of this. They're down 10-2 and a converted try may lift them.
Well, they've won the scrum and it's picked up by Cliff Lyons, gives it back now to Michael O'Connor. He's one of the guys who's got the pace and ability to do it, but Fittler's up there to knock him down in company with Kennedy. Up to play it back down to Glenn Ryan. From the back of the ruck, he's taken by Royce Simmons down low and a strong tackle. Russell into the dummy half position. The game slowed down considerably now as Russell is easily taken once again by Simmons over the top. They're 18 metres out from the Panthers goal line. Ryan at dummy half to David Hoskins, and Hoskins is easily pulled down 10 metres out from the Penrith goal line once again by Simmons and Tunks. Russell at dummy half across to Tuvey, out and out of Lyons. Lyons drops it off the end of the toe. O'Connor comes through, but again Alexander swoops on that football along the ground.
John Jones on the sideline very early in the second half for Manly, only 3.5 minutes gone. And not John Jones, it's Chris White. White will go into the game. Hosking off for Manly. He's got his right knee strapped. I dare say they said, give it a couple of minutes, see how it goes. And he's shaking his head as he comes off, and he's got his right knee heavily strapped. So it's now Chris White into the game for Manly. Jones or White will go into the front row.
And Alexander kicking from general play. Bounces very awkwardly for Iro, but back in field. He goes to pick it up. The chasers are up there. Fittler's there, so is Cartwright. Iro, big and strong, but not strong enough to take them 2 on. 1-on-1's pretty hard, but when you've got 2, you're going nowhere. Dunford gives it across now to Townsend. He makes it up to within 5 metres of the halfway line before being put away. He'll play it now to Russell against Tunks now, hanging on just a little too long. Penalty to the Manly side.
4 minutes gone in the second half. No change to the half-time score. It's Penrith 10, lead Manly 2. Let's check them around the grounds. Tony Peters at Caltex.
Cronulla 10, St George 6.
Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 9, North 6.
Phil Tressida.
Brisbane 8,
8, Balmain 8.
Ross Allen.
Newcastle 10 with a kick to come, West 0.
Okay, back at Penrith Park now. It's Manly in possession on the quarter line of the Penrith side. From dummy half, Danny Russell makes a metre or two.
Yeah, good strong little run too from Russell from the back of the ruck. He plays it now to Ryan. Ryan takes off, bypasses one or two.
Lost the ball.
Yeah, Mortimer came up, but it's gone back towards it. No, it hasn't. The referee says a knock-on has occurred. Can't clue with that one, so a scrum will go down 11 metres out from the Penrith goal line. And, of course, we're going to have Carter to feed this one for the Penrith side. And we've got the referee holding both packs away from each other. Common sense refereeing prevailing there. The feed's on straight through the second row. She goes, picked up by Carter. He offloads out now to Fittler, standing in the 5/8 position, but very quickly knocked down by Glenn Ryan. Fittler. He'll get up once again to play it to Steve Carter from the back of the ruck. He tries to find an opening. He steps one player, and it was Chris White, but then taken by the two little men in Russell and Tooby. Now it's Kelly. Turns the ball back inside. Oh, he was away for the prize too.
Izzard.
Was Izzard, but the ball is picked up by Hassler. He gives it out now to Cliff Lyons. Turns it back now to Michael O'Connor. Running across field, hoping a gap to open up, but it doesn't. And again, we've got Izzard making the tackle in company with Royce Simmons. He plays it now to Glenn Ryan, gives it across once again to Martin Bella. He charges forward, but he's well and truly looked after. 24 metres out from the Penrith goal line. Quickly plays it back to Russell, across now to Dunford, full of running up inside the Penrith quarter line, and Tunks over the top to do the damage. Plays it to Russell again, gives a good pass out to Chris White. He goes forward, but he's taken two beautifully over the top by Tunks, ball and all. Getting up the play at 11 metres out from the goal line. Iro goes without it. Turvey picks it up. The referee says that's okay by me. Manly still in possession with one tackle left to go. 10 out from the line. Back to Russell, gives it across to O'Connor. Steps one, goes through, gets a kick in, but it's going to be far too hard, Michael. So we're back to the quarter to recommence.
Well, Manly territorially in the second half have camped themselves deep in Penrith territory. You've got to give it to them. They're certainly putting in the effort, and some of the young forwards going very well this afternoon. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
I don't think they're getting the value from Hassler. He's too wide. Maybe they could do with him a bit closer. That support plays astray.
Yeah, it certainly is, and they need that blinding pace of Hassler to capitalise anything that happens around that ruck area. It's not happening, as Tony McGay pointed out, but he should be looking for the ball a lot more than he is. Okay, Penrith in possession now, 40 metres out from their own goal line. They lead by 10-2. Fittler, is it no Alexander?
Yeah, Alexander. They both look the same. They've got one of these new tricky-dicky hairstyles. Wish I had enough hair to have one. But goes back to Townsend. Townsend races downfield, and he got away from the man. Just couldn't keep his feet. He had McIndoe at 6s and 7s there, but just couldn't keep his feet. But he plays it now to Russell. Goes across to Turvey. Well, the distance between Turvey and his link man, which was Cliff Lyons, was 25 yards away, and the poor little bugger was scrambled by Big Peter Tunks. He's got to have a look at himself sometimes, Cliffy Lyons, leaving midgets to do the job like that. Dunford, as I said, full of running, makes a break, gives it back to Russell, and Russell goes right up to the Penrith quarter line before being put down by Brooke Kennedy. Plays it back to Cliffy Lyons this time, gives it to Turvey. Turvey gets around one, picks up Michael O'Connor, and it's a try, and there he is, the little tiny fella, fair dinkum. He's a garden gnome. Looks like a choir boy has sent his captain in for a try.
Well, Manly have been promising to do that in the second half, and they've put themselves back into the game. Cliff Lyon brilliantly from dummy half. They hung off him. He give it to Tuvey. Tuvey superbly around the corner to Michael O'Connor. He pushed off Brad Izzard and raced in and put the ball down in the corner for Manly's first try of the game. And it's really... they had to score to make this a game. It's now 10 points to 6, and they're back in the ball game after 8 minutes of the second half.
Maybe that's one we can put down for the Grace Brothers try of the round. Certainly not a lot scored so far, but that's one that we could look at when we've got to make the selection.
The one in the first half by McIndoe was better than that. But good work by Jeff Tuvey. He's had another terrific game for Manly today. 10-6. If O'Connor can put this one over, then we've got a real ball game on our hands.
Well, he's... just about a foot or two in from the touchline.
When you bisected, Greg, the game, or dissect it, whatever you want to do, Penrith scored both their tries in 3 minutes, and for the rest of the game, it's been fairly close. Both sides, though, have missed plenty of scoring opportunities.
Yeah, a lot of grafting. They're walking right out in front of this kick. No, it's going to come around. Is it going to? No, it's just waved away, but... okay, all clubs are doing it. It's something that the referee, Mr. Braybrook, you've got to look at your instructions to referees about players. The whole 13 of them started to walk out as his foot didn't even hit the ball. Now, I've watched it yesterday. Every game, Mr. Braybrook, the New South Wales Rugby League, something you should talk to your boys in TNT about.
Yeah, certainly very evident there with that.
It's intimidating.
Greg. Yeah, it certainly is. You're not supposed to walk behind the goalpost. The referee can give them another kick.
Sure
and on
can.
that occasion, Greg was right. The entire 13 in front of the goal line. 10-6 to Penrith over Manly here at Penrith Park. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Geez, tough for a choir boy, that Tuvia midget, but he's got some power. He can break tackles.
He certainly can. Jones, a very strong run for Manly, outside his own quarter.
Yeah, and equal to the task too. Mortimer with a beautiful head-on tackle. But now Martin Bella charging forward. But he's going to be pulled down 32 metres out from the Manly goal line. Another good tackle that time by Royce Simmons. He's an example to any young fella watching how to defend. One tackle left to go to Manly, 40 metres away from the Manly goal line. Back to Glenn Ryan. Good pass now across. It goes to Line Stout to Iro. And Iro gets a towering kick downfield, forcing Greg Alexander to go across. That is a mammoth kick. That's 10 metres out from their line. And it was about 10 metres in from the quarter.
And he kicked it left foot. Let's check the scores on 440 tab on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Tony Peters at Caldex.
Cronulla 12, St George 6.
Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 9, North 6.
Phil Tressida.
Balmain 10, at least Brisbane 10, Balmain 8.
Okay, Ross Allen, Newcastle.
Newcastle 12, Wests 0.
Okay, back at Penrith Park now. A collapsed scrum.
Carter knocked it on behind the back of the scrum.
Oh.
And it's pretty hard to see. We've got a couple of big cameras in front, but Carter knocked it on. Penrith had won the scrum and he knocked it on Tooby now to feed. So now, again, Carter putting pressure on his Penrith club mates, this time with the scrum to go down.
Penrith will want to pull their socks up. Manly getting a sniff of this after being seemingly out of it at 10 points to 2 at half-time.
Well, the scrum going down, and again, Ward not happy with it. He's pushing him inside that mandatory 10-metre line. Tooby desperately waiting to get it in. The instruction to feed. They win it. Tooby races off. Steps inside one. Gets up to within 5 metres of the line. Up there quickly to play it back. It goes to Glenn Ryan. He can't step one. And it was a good tackle once again by Kennedy to bring him down. It's played now to Russell. A switch of play out now. It goes into the arms of Jones. Manly have scored. Manly have gone over on a John Jones try off a switch of play from Cliffy Lines.
Manly showing there that they've been doing their homework. Bit of Graham Lowe magic here. It was switched to the blind side and Jones just went straight through the tackle of Tunks. Put the ball down for a Manly try, their second try in a couple of minutes, exactly 3 minutes like Penrith did in the first half, and it's 10 points all. So down 10-2 at half-time. The Sea Eagles are back after 12 minutes of the second half. It's 10 points all at Penrith Park, and John Jones the try. It was Cliff Lines giving the final pass there, and a very good one from a switch of play. 10 all with a kick to come from Michael O'Connor.
15 metres out. 12 metres in from touch. If he puts this one over, the Eagles have landed. As he comes in now, and he's pushed it away to the left-hand side. So we've got even Steven on the board, 10 all.
10 points all. That was an easy kick for O'Connor. He's got one from 4. Penrith have got one from 2, Greg Alexander, and the goal kicking, letting both sides down at the moment. 10 all, we've got a real game on our hands. Let's check them around the grounds. Tony Peters at Caltex.
Cronulla 12, St George 6.
Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 9, North 6.
Phil Tressida.
Brisbane 10, Balmain 8.
Ross Allen.
Newcastle 16, a kick to come, West 0.
Okay, so play restarted. Manly in possession on their own quarter line, and they're charged up now, the young Manly side, clawing their way back to 10 all.
Chris White up to play it, back to Russell, gives it across now to John Jones, and he is taken on too beautifully that time by Chris Mortimer. You couldn't leave him out of your side, Gould, I can tell you that. Now it's going across to Des Hasler, and Hasler's pulled down on the far side. We'll get up and play it. That was Tunks the tackler. Back it goes to Russell again. He gives it across now to White again, dropping the shoulder straight in with one tackle left to go, and it was Kelly he took on that time. Back now to Russell, to Cliff Lines down the blind side. Michael O'Connor's pass out to Hancock, steps 1 or 2, got support. Back inside, gives it back to Hasler. Hasler tries to duck under one. Still going, says the player, and it goes to Dunford out now to Russell. Russell throws a dreadful pass, picked up by White. Don't pick it up, boys. You'd have been offside, and Fittler comes up with a football.
Yeah, good play by Manly. They want to keep the ball alive, and fortune favours the bold, and they're pretty bold at the moment. Penrith have got to settle down. This second half has belonged to Manly. 2 tries in the opening 11 minutes. Cartwright, one of the stars of the first half, settles play down for Penrith.
The ball's played back, it goes this time to Kelly. Kelly elects to offload to Simmons. Back it goes all to John Jones over the top with a swinging arm on the head that time of I think it was Brooke Kennedy, but we've got Mortimer charging forward now, and Hasler puts paid to his run back. Now it goes into the arms of Simmons. Out to Carter. Carter puts a kick on back into the in-goal area. She'll go, and too strong out the back door.
Play will restart with a tap from the corner. This game has really come alive. Penrith, 2 tries in 3 minutes in the first half. Manly have replied in kind. It's 10 points all. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Gee, they look shot, Manly, but a terrific comeback.
Yeah, certainly a very gutsy comeback. They've got a bit to do yet, and they're a bit rough around the edges, but I tell you what, they're keen, and there's plenty of spirit in there, and Graham Lowe has certainly done a pretty good job in a quick time with them. Here's Hasler.
Yeah, right through the gap at Cliff Lyons too. Alongside him, couldn't get his pass away as he's knocked down. Now it's back to Lyons. He gives a good pass across to Dunford. Fends off one. Tries to get another one away. Manages to do it. Out to Hasler. Hasler offloads out now to Chris White. White was going to pass, but Fittler was there to bring him to ground. Plays it to Townsend. Out now it goes to Martin Bella. A change of direction. Back inside to Russell. Across to Tuvey. Tuvey through the gap. Little Tuvey's made mincemeat of him. The chase with Carter's on. And Carter catches up with him, but he doesn't put him down, and again it's left for a man on the far side to knock him to ground.
He should have pinned his ears back and went for the corner. Here's O'Connor, kick through, beautifully picked up by Alexander.
Oh,
that saved a very dicey situation. I think Tuvey could have made the corner. He was looking for support instead of pinning his ears back and going himself. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
I should have played the ball, Michael O'Connor. The try was on, no need for the kick.
Okay, so there it is, Manly bombing one. A little bit of inexperience there. 15 minutes into the second half. Penrith now trying to get it outside of their own quarter. I'm sure they'll kick shortly.
Kennedy back now to Simmons, and there's the kick, as we said, by Greg Alexander. A good-looking kick downfield too, but it's an A-grade bounce for Tony Oro. He'll pick it up 10 metres in from touch. He's got Fittler to contend with. Oh, Fittler's a lovely tackle by Brad Fittler around the legs. Plays it now to Ryan. Ryan across to Townsend. Townsend out wide. It goes now to Hancock. Hancock taken by Bentley and Company about 5 metres short of the halfway line in Eagle territory.
Well, the Sea Eagles have certainly come back strongly, and they've got plenty of players that can make a break. Hasler, Tuvey, O'Connor, Lyons, all there waiting for their chance.
Back it goes now to Martin Bella. And Bella pumps it up strongly too. Still full of running. Martin Bella dragging 2 to ground with him.
25 metres on that charge for Bella.
Back now it goes to Russell again. Out it goes to Dunford. And the young fellas are looking at old Martin Bella charging forward in this zone. If you can do it, I can do it too. Now he's up the play to Russell. Goes across to Cliff Lyons. Trying to run around one. A long pass over now. Picks up Townsend. But he's going to be wrapped up beautifully around the legs by Izzard. Change of position 30 metres out from the Penrith goal line.
Well, Penrith certainly have been forced to do a lot of defending in this second half. Currently, so 17 minutes gone in the second half, and there's the penalty with McIndoe forced down by Townsend, losing the ball on the play the ball, but referee Ward had called on him to play it. Let's check the scores on the Mitsubishi scoreboard around the grounds for Footy Tap. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 17, St George 6, the Sharks with a kick to come.
Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 9, North 6.
Phil Tressida.
Balmain 14, Brisbane 10.
Balmain 14, Brisbane 10. Ross Allen, Newcastle.
Newcastle 18, West 0.
Okay, so the Tigers have hit the front. What a great round of rugby league this has been so far, and there's still 23 minutes to go of it.
Okay, Battans are on for the Penrith side. Kelly off, and we've got Brooke Kennedy making a terrific break down the centre of the ground. He plays it to Royce Simmons. Back it goes now to Carter to Fittler. Good pass out wide to Alexander, who picks up Cole Bentley. Oh, and Bentley in over the top. Gee whiz, swinging arm, and also one from Cliffy Lyons. Allowed to play now, Alexander. Desperately trying to hang on to it.
How did he hang on to that?
I don't know, but little Tuvey was around his legs like a drover's dog as we see Joe Batanza now charging forward. Allowed to stand. Gives it back to Royce Simmons. Simmons throws a pass to Batanza out the Cartwright. Keeps it alive. Back to Fittler. The stepper goes. But the stepper goes to ground. One tackle left to go just inside the Manly quarter line. It's gone now to Royce Simmons at dummy half. An attempted field goal too. A dreadful one too by Alexander out the back door.
The crowd today, 11,083 at Penrith Park to see a thriller-diller. It's 10 points all, Penrith and Manly. Manly now under the hammer as they tap from their quarter line. Manly and Penrith in a dour struggle here at Penrith Park. 2 tries apiece, and the crowd of 11,083 absolutely loving it. Jones takes it up for Manly and makes another good 10 metres.
Yeah, 31 out from his own line. Back to Des Hasler. He goes across field too. Oh, beautiful tackle by Kennedy. Very quickly to play the ball. Russell a dummy half, had licks to go on his own. No support ready that time, and he's knocked to the ground. Both those head-eye tackles I mentioned, Peter, both of them have been cautioned on the run by the referee too, I might add. So he's on the ball, Eddie Ward. Iro in possession of the football. Centre field, 38 metres out from the Manly goal line.
Manly bunched up and they've gone nowhere in this sequence of 6.
Back now to Lyons. He puts the football downfield, forcing Alexander to go across, and again can only watch it go over the touchline, right back on the Panthers quarter.
Okay, tremendous game of football building up here at Penrith Park. It's 10 points all, and there are 20 minutes left for play in the second half. Halfway through the second half, and a deadlock situation at Penrith Park between the Eagles and the Panthers.
Scrum to go down to be worked by Carter. Penrith win it. Goes out now to Brad Fittler. Fittler taken this time, and well and truly by Cliff Lyons down low. Up to play the ball back to Carter again. He gives it across this time to Smith. He's going to be wrapped up just outside his own quarter line. Plays it once again. Back it goes to Royce Simmons. Across now to Mortimer. Look for support. One coming through, and it was Brooke Kennedy. He's up again to play the ball. Back it goes to Joe Vitanza. And Vitanza struggles forward, still going, pulling 2 to ground with him after picking up a good 15 metres or so. Plays it to Royce Simmons back once again to Alexander, and Alexander kicks straight down the throat of Tony Iro, taking inside his own quarter line. Picks up 15 metres or so.
He's done a good job, Iro, as a stopgap fullback for Frank Stokes, who went off injured in the first half, and he's made every post a winner. Certainly a very good buy for Manly. It's 10 all. Manly and Penrith locked in a real battle here. Jones goes up, keeps his head up high, and goes just short of the halfway mark.
Now, John Jones, this is the first time I've watched him in high grades, and he's got a future in front of him. There's no doubt about it, because he'll take anyone on. Back now it goes to Russell. And he gives it out to Martin Bella. Bella is knocked to the ground too. Back inside Penrith territory. 40 away from the Panthers goal line. Lyons again getting a clever kick downfield. Up over the touchline. Back on the Panthers quarter. The flag goes up.
Well, they're certainly locking Penrith up inside their own quarter in the second half. Most of the 21 minutes has been in Penrith territory, and Penrith just showing a few signs of wear and tear. Let's check the scores for Footy Tab on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Tony Peters, Caldex.
George 6.
Okay, Tim Prentice at Parramatta.
Parramatta 11, North Sydney 6.
Phil Trussell.
Well, there's a lot of drama here with Balmain leading Brisbane now, 18 points to 10, a crowd of 13,060, and Wally Lewis is limping off the field with some assistance.
Okay, Ross Allen in Newcastle.
Newcastle 20, Wests 0.
20 points to 0 back at Penrith Park. Penrith on the attack, but a pass has gone forward, 10 metres on the Manly side of halfway, and a scrum will go down. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, Manly used the switch there, Ryan out into the backs and Hasler back into the forwards.
Okay, so Glenn Ryan now.
Yeah, and that hit on McIndoe was the one that forced the ball right out. He's playing outside centre. It was a magnificent tackle.
Okay, here's the pass by Manly. It's O'Connor almost into the open, but a very good tackle coming across in cover there for the Penrith side was Brad Fittler.
Alexander. Was Peter. Yeah, they look identical. They're like twins. Getting up now to play it is Cliffy Lyons. Back now to Russell, gives a good ball out to John Jones. He's dropped the football, knocked it on, says the referee. But the referee had the advantage going to Penrith, and he blew the whistle too quickly.
Yeah, there was a chance that Penrith could have
gone their ball,
played
Peter.
on there. 10 points all on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard. 22 minutes gone in the second half.
Scrum going down 5 metres into Penrith territory. They win the scrum, and very quickly to ground, Brooke Kennedy. With Tuvey over the top of him, getting up the plat, minus his headgear, minus one boot. They may as well rip his shorts off too, as we see now Carter going forward for an 8-metre gain for Penrith. Back now it goes to Simmons, out now to Cartwright. Cartwright's puffed up possession too, and again the Eagles take control of the football.
Well, those passes which came off in the first half, not coming off for Penrith in the second. Here's Lyons.
Giving it back now to Michael O'Connor, a good step. He can't go any further, but he offloads to Glenn Ryan in the centres. Out it goes now to Tuvey. But Tuvey's well and truly wrapped up out wide in a strong tackle once again by Kennedy. It's played to Glenn Ryan. He gives it back now to Hasler, then again to Ryan. Ryan's taken this time once again by Brooke Kennedy. He'll let him go. He's up the plat just short of the halfway line as we see Martin Bella carry the leather back into Penrith territory, 5 metres over the halfway line.
They're gutsing it out, Manly. They're lacking a little bit, but they're certainly gutsing it out and causing Penrith plenty of headaches at the moment.
Chris White getting up the plat. Tongue's dropped off the tackle. They've got one left to go. Back to Cliff Lyons again, and there's another good-looking grubber kick downfield. Beautifully taken again by Alexander. Reads the play magnificently, this youngster, and he's pulled down 15 metres out from the Penrith goal line.
Okay, 16 minutes left for play at Penrith Park. Deadlock situation, 10-all Manly and Penrith.
Penrith play the ball back now. It goes to Royce Simmons, out to Joe Vitanza. Drops the shoulder straight into Hasler. He stands his ground. And he is getting up now to play the ball.
Glenn Ryan it was.
And, yeah, well, the other bloke that actually dropped the shoulder was Des Hasler. Ryan was around the legs. As we see Penrith going across field once again, Izzard. He's wrapped up beautifully. Back it goes this time to Simmons. And now little Rosey puts a kick in down. It landed up in the second seat in the back row.
Well, that just shows you how frustrated this Penrith side has become in this game. For Roy Simmons, their captain, to put a ball out on the full like that is certainly indicative of the pressure that Manly have forced on Penrith in this second half. Still 10 points all on the Mitsubishi scoreboard with 15 minutes left for play. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
To have a little bit more petrol, Manly. There was a forced error.
Certainly was. Scrum to go down, fed by Tuvey.
And when he gets it in, he's waiting for the referee for the signal. There it goes. Oh, the scrum's collapsed. Penley now, he's got them all offside. They're up within line of their back row. And Izzard's the culprit, centre field.
OK, Manly, Cliff Lyons saying we'll have a shot at goal, but of course you can't. And Lyons has just got to find the sideline here, or are they going to take the tap? They should find the sideline without any problems.
Yeah, well, Michael O'Connor will make sure they do that. They're going to do just that now. He's pointed to the far touchline, out towards that beautiful Tui's draft sign. Oh boy, could I do with the Tui's now, let me tell you.
I think a few of the boys out there could too. He's a good attacking position for Manly.
Yes, now we've got Michael O'Connor going up. He taps, gives it across to Hasler, goes across the lines to Turvey. Good pass on to John Jones. And Jones going to be wrapped up too. They can't put him down, big strong bloke too. Fittler was trying to put him away, but it's played to Russell, gives it back once again into the arms of Ryan, and he's knocked down 15 short of the line.
They're working it in for a field goal, I feel sure, Greg. They're going right underneath the uprights.
Yep, that's the plan from the look of it. 10 metres out now. Nunford plays it back now to Russell, across to Turvey. They've changed their mind. Back now to Lyons. Iro does a juggling act, fends off another one. The big fella's legs are pumping, goes over one, steps away from another. Cliff Lyons points to the line, and he's only a metre out from the Penrith goal line.
He knocked it on. He was heading towards the goal line and knocked it on. And a good strong run by Tony Iro. And he charged towards the Penrith line. Lost the ball in the tackle. Penrith then knocked on, and it will be a scrum feed to the Penrith side. First knock on by Manly, 10 points all, and there are now 14 minutes left for play. Let's check the scores on the Mitsubishi scoreboard around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Granada 19, St George 12.
19 to 12, Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 11, North 6.
Phil Tressida.
Balmain 18, Brisbane 16.
Ross Allen, Newcastle.
Newcastle 28, Wests 0.
28 to 0. OK, Penrith in possession now, trying to get out of their own quarter is Alan McIndoe.
Yeah, well, he can't. He's getting up now to play the ball back. It goes to Alexander across to Cole Bentley, and he's put away beautifully. He'll get up the play just outside the Penrith quarter line. It goes to Simmons out to Joe Vatenza again. Steps over one, still full of running. Tried to slip his pass, still going. Martin Bella piggybacking him up. Well, he ran 20 yards with 3 on top of his shoulders. That's a good effort from Vatenza, as we see now. Alexander getting a kick downfield to Tony Iro. He's going to run into a bit of nick, this big bloke, this afternoon.
Yeah, he's played well, Greg. He's had a very strong game, and if he hadn't have dropped that ball up the other end of the field a few moments ago, he could have well been the hero for Manly. 10 all, and it's getting right down to field goal time. I'm surprised Manly didn't set it up for a field goal, but they've decided that they want to go all out for attack. Here's Glenn Ryan struggling out in the centres, but he's such a wholehearted player that he'll give his all out there too.
He is playing it now. Back to Michael O'Connor. He can't go any further. Izzard right around his legs to knock him down. He'll get up the play at 30 metres out from his own goal line. He's hurt himself too, Michael O'Connor. That's no good. Back now into the arms of Jones. Jones holds it up a little. Russell going through. Steps 1 or 2. And eventually he's knocked down 9 short of the halfway line. He'll quickly play it once again to Dunford, out to Martin Bella. Bella struggles up towards the halfway line. 1 tackle left to go. And the referee comes up over the ruck to get him off. It goes across the lines. Lyons kicks downfield. Hasler's onside. Races through, but Carter reads the play beautifully. Gives it back now to Greg Alexander. He gets around Turvey, finds some holes in the Manly defence till Townsend catches up with him, and he's pulled down 10 metres short of the halfway line.
Michael O'Connor still down. Here's a great time for Penrith to attack, and up to centre goes Roy Simmons.
Yeah, short. Just 1 metre of the halfway line he's short. Back now it's played to Alexander. Out now it goes to Mortimer across this time to Cartwright, and Cartwright's knocked to the ground, still a metre short of the halfway line. It's played now back to Smith, and Smith takes off from the back of the ruck, but he's going to be pulled down once again by White.
Walker on for Brooke Kennedy in the Penrith side. Penrith in a great attacking position now, 30 metres out, right in front, last tackle.
Back it goes once again to Greg Alexander, racing downfield. Oh, long pass out to McIndoe, back inside to Bentley, back inside to McIndoe. McIndoe gives it back inside to Izzard, he can't handle it, and Manly dives on the ball. referee.
Well, Michael O'Connor is being taken from the field. Michael O'Connor carried from the field for Manly, and there are 11 minutes to go, and he has what appears to be a knee injury, so that's a body blow for Manly Warringah. Michael O'Connor off. Carter with the feed for the Penrith side.
Yep, knock on both ways, first to Manly. And they win it too. Carter in possession of the ball. Sends it across to Fittler. Fittler gives a long pass out this time to Bentley. Bentley's got an option. He gives it out wide, and now it goes to Izzard. But Izzard pulled down on the far side of the ground. It's played. Back it goes now to Bentley again, charging forward. Hasler's there to stop him in company with Dunford. 5 metres out from the Eagles goal line. That's Walker, fresh man on for the Penrith side. He's pulled down 4 short of the Manly goal line. Royce Simmons at dummy half gives it across to Alexander. A long pass up over the top. Smith scores. They've gone over. Magic, absolute magic from Gregory Alexander.
Good pass by Alexander and Smith. An easy try up the blind side, and that should wrap it up for Penrith. They now lead by 14 to 10. They've been given a hell of a fright. 10 minutes out from full time. They've got the lead again by 14 points to 10. As soon as Michael O'Connor went off, and they had that scrum feed close to the Manly line. Alexander the pass, and Smith has gone in to score the third try for Penrith. So Penrith now lead by 14 points to 10 with a kick to come and should win this game now.
Yes, the problem with Michael O'Connor, Pete, I've just been told, is a hamstring problem. That's why they carried him off. But what a gutsy performance from Manly. And only the brilliance of Alexander to pull it off with one of the most magnificent passes I've seen this year. It was a brilliant pass right into the old bread basket, and they've crossed. Well, here is he, the man now, Brandy Alexander, trying to convert the try on the far side. The man that set it up on the T-bar. And applause for, I think it's Brooke Kennedy coming off now for the Penrith side.
He's had a great game for the Penrith side.
Oh, has he ever? Here's Alexander now from the T-bar, Peter. He's hit it nicely. It's going to go over the bar. This kid can do no wrong. He can walk on water up here, or at least in the Pean River.
Well, tremendous effort by Alexander. He set the try up, and then he's made sure Penrith can't lose it at least. The worst they can do is a draw. With that 16-10 magnificent try set up, and then converted by Alexander. That's 2 from 3 from him. 16-10, 3 tries to 2. Let's check the scores for Footy Tab around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 19, St George 12.
Tim Prentice at Parramatta Stadium.
Parramatta 11, Norths 10, 9 minutes remain.
Phil Tressor at Leichhardt.
It's Balmain 18, Brisbane 16.
Ross Allen in Newcastle.
Newcastle 28, Wests 0.
Okay, except for that Newcastle West game, thriller dealers all round the grounds in an exciting round 3. Manly, can they come back again? They were down 10-2. They're now down 16-10 without their captain, Michael O'Connor.
Yeah, so we've got John Jones going forward. Riley's on now for the Manly side. I think you can check him out for me, Pete, but I think that's his head. Geez, if he gets a sniff in the clear, he'll take some running down. But Manly have got 1 tackle left to go. Martin Bella's up to play it back to Russell. Gives it across down to Cliffy Lyons. Lyons kicks downfield too far, too hard. And it's gone over the touchline on the full, so we've got a change of possession now.
Yeah, it'll be a play the ball for Penrith, and they're coming home strongly as they did against Balmain here last week. In the last 15-20 minutes, they applied the pressure last week, and they're doing it again here this afternoon. There are 7 minutes left for play, and Penrith lead by 16 points to 10.
Walker up to play it back now to Royce Simmons, gives it across to Joe Vatanza. Vatanza goes very strongly up to the halfway line centre field before being pulled down. Plays it to Royce Simmons again. Out it goes down to Cartwright. Cartwright really striding out for the first time this afternoon. That's his best run. He's picked up 15 metres or so. He's up to play it back to Simmons. But he's got John Jones that time a little bit too long, son. I think it was only tiredness, but he's got a fair pinch on you.
Yeah, he certainly has. But the Manly players were helped to be laid down there by Brad Izzard, who pushed the Manly player down. And I'm quite certain there that the crowd had a little bit to do with that. That'll be Alexander's shot for 2 points now from around about 40 metres out and a little to the left of the uprights. Let's check the scores around the grounds as full-time nears in all the grounds this afternoon for Footy Tab on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 19, St George 12.
Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 11, North Sydney 10.
Phil Tressida.
Balmain 18, Brisbane 16.
Ross Allen.
Newcastle 28, West 0.
Okay, so certainly hotting up around the grounds. Here's Alexander who put the seal on this game if he can put it over.
Okay, 36 metres out, 20 metres in from touch. What can he do with this one? He hits it nicely. What do they say? Yes! They didn't move, the two touch judges. They didn't even flinch.
3 out of 4 for Greg Alexander. 18-10 for Penrith. They're home in this game. They got a bit of a fright, but in the end, they're going to be too strong for a gallant Manly Warringah side. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, one of the great players in the game today. He's been the game breaker, Alexander. Laid the try on and kicked the goal he had to.
Yeah, he certainly did. He's been probably the difference between the two teams. We look for a match winner from either side, and there are plenty out there. And then from the start of play, Alexander puts the ball back downfield.
Sure does, and it's beautifully taken too by Hancock. I tell you what, on this performance, he'll be the state of origin fullback, this bloke, if he keeps this form up. No risk in the world. They found a niche for him. Penalty down to the Manly side, 34 metres out from the Manly goal line. To the Eagles, the kick, Cliffy Lyons about to take it, kicking across to the far touch line. It goes over 35 metres out from the Penrith goal line. The free kick to be taken by young Russell for the Manly side. Gives it back to Martin Bella. Bella charges forward. Tunks goes low to pull him to ground just outside the Penrith quarter line. Back it goes to Russell again at dummy half. He's scrambled over the top by Chris Mortimer on the Penrith quarter.
Well, the Manly fans can be really pleased with their side's performance today. They've met a side here at Penrith that'll be very hard to beat at home, and Manly have gutsed it out. None of the bitching and whinging that went on last year is evident in their gallant display today. Penrith have been just a little bit too good, but Manly won't be the only side to come here and get beaten in 1990. Balmain have already been beaten. Look at Manly attacking again.
Tuvey now getting it out to Iro. He's put it down, but it's gone back towards the line. Hancock desperately trying to hang on to it. And good harassment too it was from McIndoe, putting pressure on him. He plays it now. It goes across into the arms once again of White. White races forward, gets a kick in downfield. He's going to go back into the in goal, but he's going to force a Penrith player to pick it up in Smith, and they're down there, and he just got outside into the field of play. That was strong from Smith to be able to do that.
Yeah, certainly was. Tremendous game of football here at Penrith Park, and Penrith lead Manly by 18 points to 10 after leading 10-2 at half-time. Three tries to 2 in a tremendous game of football. Royce Simmons, who's played strongly, gets out from the dummy half position. Away goes Tunks now.
Oh, big strong run from Peter Tunks down the centre of the ground, and eventually knocked down by Jones and also Dunford. He plays it to Simmons, gives it out now to Joe Vatanza. Vatanza steps one, gives it back now to Walker. Walker comes up and Dunford's over the top of it. He couldn't pull him down. He kept going. He's away from him. Walker looked for support. Over the top, Iro came in total frustration. A strong tackle too with one left to go. Now they've played it to Royce Simmons. Goes across to Carter wide to Mortimer. Gives it out now to Alexander, up into the line again. Looking for the swerve. He's through the gap, Alexander. He has just cut him up. He has just cut him up. He's going to score. What a sensational try. Greg Alexander, I am going to dead set bow to you, son. That is sensational stuff.
Brilliant try by Greg Alexander. The smile on the face of Brandy. Late in the game, they're half Manly up. It was Simmons at dummy half, firing the ball out to support. It was Simmons on to Carter. Carter out wide to Chris Mortimer, then into Alexander. Alexander got away from Cliff Lyons and he raced downfield. He stepped inside Hancock and then raced around to score a very good try, beating Darren Riley into the bargain. And he's our 2GB. Mad Barry's man of the match this afternoon. A magnificent second half. 3 points to Greg Alexander and the Grace brothers. Try of the round, that one. Beautiful try by Greg Alexander. 3 from 4 and a try and a kick to come. And Penrith now have raced away to lead by 22 points to 10. And last week they mauled the Tigers here late in the game. This week, with only 2 minutes to go, tries in the 74th and 78th minute have given them a very big victory.
Well, the kick now to be taken by Alexander. What a heck of a try.
Certainly was, and that margin probably hasn't done Manly any favours. I don't think that there's been 12 points between the sides this afternoon, and it could end up 14 now.
10 metres in from touch on the quarter line. He's done it again. He's put another one over for another 2 points.
4 out of 5 to Alexander, and it's been all Brandy late in the game. He has really grabbed this game by the scruff of the neck. 24 to 10 with only a minute left for play. Let's check them around the grounds for Footy Tab on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Tony Peters, Caldex.
Full time, a win to Cronulla by 25 points to 12.
25 to 12, Tim Prentice.
Parramatta 11, lead Norths 10. I would say there's a minute remaining.
Phil Tressiter at Leichhardt.
We're in the last minute and Balmain lead Brisbane 18 points to 16.
Ross Allen, Newcastle.
Full time, Newcastle 34, West 0.
34-0 over Western Suburbs. That's a hiding.
Murder.
So here we are at Penrith. Izzard on the burst now, and there are around about less than a minute left for play here at Penrith Park.
Izzard up now to play it. He goes across to Joe Batanza, running strongly too, but he's put down by Tony Iro. Up the play it back to Royce Simmons, gives it out now to Cartwright. Cartwright dummies, gets a pass once again back to Bentley, who picks up McIndoe. McIndoe goes back inside, but it's ruled forward.
Incredible, Greg, when it was 10 all at 70 minutes, and in the space of 6 minutes, Penrith have rushed on 3 tries to Alexander, to Smith, the winger, and 2 tries, and they've certainly grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck to win, running away. Let's check those full-time scores now at Parramatta Stadium. Tim Prentice.
Peter, Parramatta 11 have defeated North Sydney 10.
Okay, full-time here at Penrith Park. Penrith 24, Manly 10, Phil Trassett at Leichhardt Oval.
Full time at Leichhardt Oval. Balmain have beaten Brisbane 18 points to 16.
Balmain have made it 5 in a row against Brisbane to win by 18 points to 16. Our 2GB man of the match here, Greg Alexander. 3 points to Alexander, 2 to Martin Bella, 1 to Brooke Kennedy. Full time around the grounds. Cronulla 25, St George 12, Parramatta 11 have beaten Norths 10, Balmain 18 have beaten Brisbane 16, Newcastle 34 have beaten Western Suburbs 0. Tremendous game of football here at Penrith Park. They got a bit of a fright, the Panthers, but again they came home strongly to beat Manly 24-10, and their captain Royce Simmons leading the way this afternoon. Royce, congratulations.
Thanks, mate. It was a gutsy win. We relaxed a little bit after half time, but we showed a fair bit of ticker, to hang in there and come back. Bloody tiring game, mate. I can tell you, it was the quickest game I've played in for a while.
Yeah, it was certainly a great game of football, and you got 2 tries in 3 minutes in the first half. Manly did likewise in the second half. 2 tries in 3 minutes. You said in your Daily Telegraph column you expected a bit more spirit from Manly, and they showed that.
They showed plenty of spirit, mate, and they play exactly like I thought. They're that dangerous if you spill a ball, or even if they drop a ball and you relax and you think that ball's on the ground, they're going to die with it. Hasler or Lyons or someone picks it up, they throw it 2 or 3 passes, and you're in a lot of trouble again.
Well, your side showed a lot of courage today. Late in the game again, as you did against Balmain, you've stormed home very late. Looks like Brandy Alexander may be at fullback for a fair while, I think.
I think so, mate. A lot of people were saying for a lot of years he was a fullback. I didn't agree with him, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is a fullback, and he's a bloody good one. If he'll keep a couple of the Gary Belcher and Gary Jack and so on their toes, I can give you the tip.
Okay, well, you've got a good home run, haven't you? You had Balmain last week, Manly this week, and you've got Newcastle next week here at Penrith Park. They've beaten West 34-0, so you're going to have another game on your hands, and that draw is suiting you at the moment.
Oh, mate, I always like to play Newcastle. I like having that big Mark Sargent coming at me about 100 mile an hour and about 19 stone, so I should look forward to that next week.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun, mate.
Yeah, tremendous.
Okay. Thanks very much for talking to us. Congratulations. A great effort. 3 wins in 3 games, and the Panthers certainly arriving very much on the scene.
Thanks, Bert.
Okay, there he is, Royce Simmons. A tremendous performance from him this afternoon here at Penrith Park. A great win by Penrith by a scoreline in the end of 24-10. And there's a big cheer for Royce Simmons as he leaves the field here at Penrith Park. Good win to the Penrith side. Just going through the scores for you today. Alan McIndoe 2 tries. Paul Smith and Greg Alexander a try. Alexander 4 goals from 5 attempts. For Manly, tries to Michael O'Connor and John Jones, and 1 from 4 to Michael O'Connor. The scrums were 6-4, the scrums were 14-6 to the Penrith side, and the penalties in the game finished up the Penrith way by 8-7. So a very good game of rugby league here at Penrith Park, and Brandy Alexander is our 2GB Mad Barry's man of the match. Congratulations, Greg.
Thanks, Pete. Yeah.
Terrific game of football this afternoon. Royce Simmons saying one of the fastest games he's played in.
Yeah, well, Manly, they're that sort of side. They won the sevens, and I think they've stuck to that game plan after they won it. They throw the ball out wide and wide, wouldn't they, with the blokes they got. And, we did well to chase them, and we hunted up real well. Well,
you led 10-2 at half-time. Everything looked cosy, and they came back at you to level it up at 10-all.
Well, Gus sent the message out after they'd come back to 10-all, and I think that was the laziest bit of football we've had this season. And, our blokes thought at 10-2, we'll just plod along and wait for someone to do something again and, get a try. But Manly are a side where you can't afford to, they're so good at break and play.
Okay, you've had a full game at fullback. What's it feel like?
Well, it's a bit better than half a game, mate. Last week I was looking forward to the second half because I could see Balmain would have been the same last week. The gaps just open up a bit in the second half, and when you got a bit of room outside, well, you can have a bit of fun.
Well, you had a bit of fun. Did you enjoy yourself?
I did, yeah. Yeah, it's great back there. I think I'll be staying there for a while.
I'm sure you will. I don't think you'll be going anywhere else. Now, a beautiful pass to Paul Smith for a try, and then a nice try yourself. And as you're saying, you feel as though late in the game from fullback you can sense the other side getting a little bit tighter, and because you haven't got as much work to do, you can feel as though you can take advantage of that.
Yeah, well, Pete, when it's as hot as it is, everyone's going to slow down. Our blokes slowed down. Their blokes slowed down, and of course, if you're sitting back at fullback, you get time to have a breath, and then you can pick your runs, and mate, it's beautiful back there.
You're happy to be goal kicking again?
Yeah, very happy, yeah.
You're striking them well. Have you been doing any practice?
I came down this morning and, did a fair bit of kicking because I didn't get much time during the week, and I just wanted to test it out, and I struck the ball well this morning and, did the same to Savo.
Okay, so it's...